All right, we are now on episode 13.
Lucky number 13.
At least for us.
Oh, not so lucky. It's already midnight, babe.
Yeah. Well,
I did have one update I forgot to mention before we stopped recording the last episode.
okay.
My dad started listening to the podcast.
Oh, did he really?
We have an 11th fan.
Hey.
He did say that our voices were meant for radio, that we sound amazing, but a little too low on some points. I know, guys. I'm sorry. I talk too low sometimes. I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we every episode after editing, I make Cassie go back and listen to some things throughout because I'm like, this is what I'm trying to explain when I make like hand gestures or whatever. It's a work in process.
I'm getting there.
Yeah,
but he said that we did good.
Yeah, on that too. Actually, my one of my groomsmen is coming up, and he listens to our podcast, and he mentioned it. He said, "Yeah, your voice is 100% made for radio. It's like you've been doing talk shows forever." And I'm like, "What about me?"
Oh my gosh! So confession. To be fair, I can go into this autopilot mode with my voice from working retail. I used to do the closing announcements.
Oh.
At Sears and Home Depot. Attention, Sears shoppers, the time is now 8:50 and your local Sears store will be closing in 10 minutes.
Pre-recorded, you see where it happened.
Yes, I could do it at the drop of a dime, and people always loved it, and I don't know how I got good at it. I just could do it, and I kind of go into that mode sometimes when I'm reading.
Okay.
These stories, and then other times I just get really into it, and I'm on the edge of my seat, yeah.
All right. Well, since we don't really have any updates because we're recording back to back, do you have any disclosures for your story?
This one's pretty lighthearted. Well, not really, but it's not graphic.
Okay.
It's more just about crime.
Oh, okay. So just crime. Got
it.
All right. Well, mine, big disclosure, it's 90% based around cannibalism.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's that.
So yours is graphic.
I try to keep out graphic details, but it's definitely got some graphic points, yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, on that note, baby, what story do you have for us this week?
The Notorious Majors family of California.
Oh, another Notorious.
I do, another Notorious.
All right. Well, what are we notorious for this week?
Crime.
Yeah, all right.
Again.
Crime.
Yes.
Okay.
This story is from the Historical Crime Detective website.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to those guys again.
Yes. And the story is originally by Thomas Duke, written in 1910.
Oh, so this is an old one. Okay.
Yes. Lloyd L. Majors, born in Ohio in 1837.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're definitely back in time.
Yes. After finishing school, he became a Methodist minister.
Okay.
After falling on hard times financially, he decided to move to Los Gatos, California in 1880. Where he opened a saloon.
I don't know why California. They're expensive.
Maybe not back then.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Gold rush. Got it.
The saloon was said to be conducted in an orderly manner, and Lloyd became quite popular around town.
Yeah, I can see that.
He was elected foreman of the Lodge of the United Workmen, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah, I'm not 100%.
He was at one time appointed Grand Marshal of the 4th of July celebration.
Oh. All right. I got you.
On another occasion, the clergy and the Citizens Committee unanimously agreed that he was the proper person to deliver the Garfield Memorial Address.
Okay.
Okay. At some point, Lloyd did not appear to be a successful saloon keeper, though.
Oh.
Because he was in arrears financially. But suddenly, his saloon mysteriously burned to the ground.
I feel insurance fraud coming.
This was at first viewed as misfortune until it was discovered that Lloyd had a hefty insurance policy on the saloon.
Called it.
Almost immediately after receiving his insurance payout, Lloyd began the construction of a 40-room hotel.
That's a hell of a twist. All right.
But when the saloon part of the building was completed, construction stopped because Lloyd ran out of money.
Uh-huh.
Lloyd was attempting to raise the money to continue construction, and then suddenly in February of 1883, Lloyd announced that Joseph Jewell, a painter who had recently arrived in Los Gatos, who was a regular patron at Lloyd's saloon since his arrival, Lloyd announced that Joseph would be his new business partner.
Oh, all right.
Lloyd furthermore stated that Joseph had just become heir to a fortune that would provide the money necessary to complete the hotel.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Was it the Nigerian prince? Oh, wait. Too early. Too early.
About 3 miles from Los Gatos, near the village of Lexington, lived an old bachelor named William P. Renaudin, who was rumored to be very wealthy.
Uh-oh.
He deposited no money in banks, and it was rumored that his recluse self buried his savings near his isolated cabin.
I feel like this is something like my great-grandfather did.
When my grandparents finally moved, when my grandpa moved out of the house, they found money hidden all over the house.
Yeah.
Even years later, after both my grandparents were gone, my mom moved up here to Florida and found an old button box of my grandmother's and opened it and found $400 in it.
I feel like that was people who survived the Great Depression. They just didn't trust banks, so it makes sense.
So on March 11th, 1883, this cabin was burnt to the ground, and in the ruins, the body of William Renaudin and a Canadian named Archibald McIntyre was found.
Oh, shit.
Yes. It was very evident that both men had been murdered.
Uh-oh.
So it was an accident.
Yeah.
It was quickly learned that Lloyd, good old Lloyd, had made inquiries into William's habits and wealth.
If that ain't suspicious.
Yeah, he even visited different banks in San Jose in an effort to learn if William had any money deposited in them.
Yeah, we getting real suspicious. Okay.
Yes. So word around town was that Lloyd, Joseph, and someone described as an overgrown boy named John Showers, I'm guessing maybe he was just a tall lad, I don't know.
Maybe, who knows?
Were seen talking to one another mysteriously.
Oh.
Also, Joseph Jewell and John Showers were seen acting in a suspicious manner in Lexington the day before the double murder occurred.
Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy.
So the trio were taken into custody.
There we go.
John Showers did not take long to make a complete confession.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to somewhat quote his confession in a more updated American English.
Oh, okay. That'd be nice.
Joseph Jewell approached me several days before the murder and told me that it was definitely known that old man Renaudin had a lot of money hidden in or near the cabin. John suggested we go to the cabin some night and threatened to kill him if he did not tell us where it is. A week before the murder, Lloyd Majors drove Joseph to the cabin for the purpose of looking around the grounds, and they had dinner with the old man. On the night of March 10th, I met Joseph and we walked to Lexington, where we spent the night in a deserted cabin drinking whiskey.
Wow.
We also spent most of the next day in this cabin, but by nightfall we went to William Renaudin's cabin.
Okay.
We knocked on the door, and I told the old man we were two hunters who lost our way and asked him to come outside and show us where the road to Los Gatos is.
Talk about premeditation.
When William had walked with us for a short distance, Joseph told him to put his hands up.
Oh.
But instead of doing so, the old man sprang after Joseph and called for help.
Feisty old man.
To my surprise, another man who I have since learned was Archibald McIntyre ran out of the cabin towards us.
Okay.
So I shot and killed him.
Oh, shit.
Yes. I then ran to Joseph's assistance and knocked William senseless by striking him over the head with a gun.
Wow.
We then dragged him to the cabin and woke him. He refused to tell us where the money was, so we poured turpentine over the lower part of his body and set him on fire. Again, he went unconscious, and again we woke him.
Jesus.
He again refused to divulge the location of the loot, so we shot him to death.
Wow.
We hastened to Lloyd Major's saloon in Los Gatos and told him what happened. He gave us some money and a bottle of whiskey and advised us to get out of the country.
All right. Another shady person. Got it.
I afterward learned from Lloyd that late that night we rode over to the cabin alone. He rode over to the cabin alone and set it on fire.
Oh, what the hell? All right.
to try to cover up the evidence.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. The three were tried in San Jose for the murder of William Renowden.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Jewell was found guilty on May 11th, 1883, and sentenced to be hanged.
Oh, well, hey.
Lloyd Majors was found guilty on May 24th, and John Showers pleaded guilty on May 28th.
Ooh, okay.
Majors and Showers were sentenced to penal servitude at San Quentin for life. Showers was used as a witness against Majors and Jewell. After Lloyd was sent to San Quentin, Joseph made a confession which fully corroborated John's statement.
Right.
He added that the original plan between Lloyd and Joseph was for Joseph to kill John after finishing off the old man.
Wow.
And for Joseph to place the bodies in such a way to make it look like they killed each other.
Yeah.
But the unexpected presence of Archibald McIntyre upset the plan.
Uh-huh.
This confession, voluntary made by a man within the shadows of the gallows, convinced the authorities that Lloyd Majors was the one in charge and the originator of this plot and should also hang.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
On July 23rd, 17 days after Lloyd had been sent to state prison, the grand jury indicted him for the murder of McIntyre, and the prisoner was returned to San Jose for trial.
Holy shit.
Yes. The date for Joseph Jewell's execution had been set for July 27, 1883, but it was postponed until November 30th to enable him to testify against Lloyd.
Okay.
Lloyd Majors was granted a change of venue, and his trial began in Oakland on October 31st.
Okay.
On November 16th, he was found guilty and sentenced to hang. He appealed to the Supreme Court, as one does.
Yeah.
The higher court refused to grant a new trial.
Good.
On May 23rd, 1884, Lloyd Majors was hanged.
Good.
It was said he was sullen and indifferent to the bitter end.
Yeah.
John Showers was transferred to Folsom on May 6, 1884. On May 15, 1899, he was killed by a fellow convict named George Putnam.
Oh, shit.
A friend of the Majors family. Yeah, so it was a hit.
Yeah, sounds like it.
George Putnam was executed on November 19th, 1900 for this deed.
Okay. Jeez.
The story does not end here.
Whoa. All right. Hold
Remember, the story is called The Notorious Majors Family.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm all in now. Let's hear this.
Majors left a widow and two little boys named Archie and Abe.
Oh.
Who lived in Oakland after their father's execution.
Okay. I mean, it sucks, but hey.
Mrs. Majors did everything she could to raise respectable young men.
Yeah, I'm sure.
She hid from them the facts of their father's disgraceful ending.
Makes sense.
Yeah. A few years after her husband's death, she remarried to a man named J.H. Wagner.
Oh, okay.
After having two more children, Wagner deserted her, leaving her in poverty.
What a douchebag.
Abe, good old Abe, the good son, went straight to work to support his poor mom. But one day someone told Abe the history of his father, and he came crying home in a whirlwind of anger and passion, expecting his mother to tell him it all was a lie.
Yeah.
And his heartbroken mother confessed it was the truth.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Abe left home at once, leaving his mother to seek relief from the Humane Society.
Oh, all right.
Abe did eventually return to Oakland. He and his brother Archie spent much of their time at the home of Bert Willimore, a boy who lived with his mother.
Okay.
Yeah. During the month of January and the early part of February 1896, a series of burglaries were committed in Oakland.
Uh-oh.
Alameda and Berkeley.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't necessarily know on a map how close they are, but...
Okay, yeah. In 3 weeks, 35 burglaries were committed. In some instances, safes were blown up.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The skillfulness of these heists had authorities convinced that the work was being done by experienced crooks.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
At 5:30 a.m. on February 6, 1896, Officer M. Powers, George Kite, and James Doolin were standing at the corner of 5th and Washington Streets in Oakland when two boys approached.
Okay.
As the officers had started to become sus of almost everyone, it was suggested by one of them that these boys be searched.
All right.
But Officer Kite laughed at the idea and said they're only a couple of newsboys.
Well, never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, the other officers insisted, and they found a coil of fuse and several burglar instruments.
Oh, shit.
The boys were also carrying large revolvers, which afterwards they stated they would have used them on the arresting officers if the opportunity had presented itself.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Jesus.
When first arrested, Bert Willimore gave his correct name. The other boy said he was Ralph Ford.
Oh.
That afternoon, Sheriff White positively identified him as Abe Major.
Whoa. The good kid? Oh, boy.
By pure coincidence, he was in the same cell with his father that his father was in years before.
Oh, the irony.
Yes. The boys made a complete confession. They related the details of their burglaries in full detail. So much detail that they led the officers to the Willimore home where they stashed their loot.
All right.
Yeah, the boys were charged with only 2 counts of burglary.
Only 2?
After 35 burglaries, but okay.
Sure.
And sentenced to 5 years on each burglary, so 10 years.
I wonder if that's a matter of, like, how much they could prove, even
Maybe.
though they have a... I don't know.
Yeah. However, on December 24th, 1898, so that was, like 2 years, they were paroled.
Gee, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was burglary, so...
On that same day, C.C. Sullivan, who had served 17 years of a 50-year sentence for killing a man named William Shields in a saloon fight, was also paroled.
Okay.
At 1 a.m. October 9th, 1899, H.O. Tenney, who roomed over Gott's jewelry store in Alameda, heard a noise at the rear of the store. He looked out the window and saw the forms of 2 men in the backyard.
Uh-oh.
Tenney quietly rushed out and notified Officer Henley. And Officer Henley entered the backyard through the back of the store, and he quickly bumped into the burglars.
Huh.
Gunfire was shot out by all in attendance, but no one was harmed.
Well, at least there's that.
Yeah. The burglars escaped, but the officer was in hot pursuit after them,
Damn straight.
accompanied by several citizens that were alarmed by the gunfire.
Whoa. We went full mob. Okay.
City Marshal Conrad joined the hunt, and as he approached a fence, he saw a burglar.
Oh.
Both men opened fire on one another simultaneously, but
Holy shit.
Conrad had a better aim.
Oh, there we go.
He killed the man instantly.
Damn.
A few moments later, the other burglar was found, hiding behind some brush. He surrendered, but gave a fake name.
Handsy.
The next day, he was identified as C.C. Sullivan. He refused to give up the name of his constituents. Once his body was identified, Sullivan admitted it was Bert Willimore. That Bert, him, and Majors paroled the same day.
Right.
On the night of April 29th, 1899, 2 highwaymen held up the town of Brigham, Utah.
Okay.
The whole town.
The whole town?
Yes. After thoroughly terrorizing the citizens, they quickly committed several robberies and fled.
Wow.
Sheriff Gordon and a deputy went after them by foot, and they all started shooting at one another, during which about 40 shots were fired and no injuries.
Damn.
Yeah, the robbers had dropped pretty much most of their loot in this fight, and they quickly fled to the mountains.
Okay.
The sheriff called to Ogden for help, and a posse was formed.
Wow. All right.
Headed by Sheriff Lane and Captain Brown of the Ogden Police, leaving Ogden at 4 a.m., April 30th, for the mountains.
Okay.
At noon, the trail was found, and shortly after, the robbers were sighted.
Wow. They sound like really shitty criminals.
A battle took place during which one of the robbers was killed, and the other fled.
Jeez.
Captain Brown, believing he could take him alive, started in hot pursuit.
Uh-oh.
Just as the captain was gaining ground, the robber turned and fired 1 shot, piercing the officer's heart and killing him instantly.
Well, that's a death sentence.
Yes. The bandit surrendered shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
The prisoner stated his name was George Morgan, and he was 19 years old. The dead bandit was his brother, and they were from Chicago. Several days later, though, it was learned the robbers were none other than Archie and Abe Majors.
Wow.
Archie being the deceased.
Hmm.
By this time, Abe had fully developed all the characteristics of his fiendish father, showing no remorse.
Sure sounds like it.
He discussed his past and apparently was indifferent about his future.
Oh, God.
Yes. Abe was found guilty of the murder of Captain Brown and was sentenced to be shot on July 7th, 1899.
Wow.
Yes. A stay of execution was granted on August 1st, 1899.
Lucky.
He was granted a new trial, which resulted in him being convicted of murder in the second degree. On October 8th, 1901, Abe was sentenced to life imprisonment at the state prison at Salt Lake, Utah.
Okay.
At 6:30 p.m. on October 9th, 1903, guards Wilkins and Jacobs of the prison were engaged in locking up several of the convicts for the night when they were suddenly overpowered and unmercifully beaten with pistols that were somehow commandeered.
Oh, no.
Yes. A general jailbreak was attempted, which was led by Abe Majors,
Of course.
Frank Drayton, a burglar in for 12 years, James Lynch, and Nick Hayworth, who were awaiting execution for murder.
Wow.
A ladder was stolen from the carpenter shop
Okay.
in the jail, and the convicts were in the act of scaling the prison wall when the alarm was sounded.
Damn, they move quick.
Yes. The two murderers escaped. Drayton was killed, and Abe Majors was shot through the arm.
Ouch.
And that's it for the Notorious Majors, but I do have a side note.
Oh, okay.
Sheriff Hale was compelled by law to execute C.C. Sullivan, and he found it to be such a horrible and painful act that he fathered a bill that was passed into law. The bill stated that thereafter all executions should take place in state prisons under the immediate supervision of the warden.
Oh, all right.
Shortly after this law became effective, Sheriff Hale was appointed warden at San Quentin,
Oh, shit.
where he was compelled during his term to supervise the execution of many murderers.
Damn, that sucks. Wait, so there's no, like, what happened to Abe? You just
That's
gonna
like-
leave me hanging?
Yeah, he was in prison for the rest of his life. That's the rest of the story that
But
I
you said he
could find on him.
escaped after getting shot in the arm.
Well, I don't think he escaped. He just got shot in the arm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, I was about to say, you just gonna leave me hanging on, hey, you got shot in the arm and nothing? Ugh.
No, but the two murderers escaped, and then the other guy was killed, and he was shot in the arm. I'm guessing he survived. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I can try to find and put a little update in there at the end.
Wow, that was definitely a Wild West story if there ever was one.
Right?
Good lord.
I thought it was a pretty interesting one.
Yeah. I'm getting kind of confused about this whole Notorious part, though. I'm just saying.
I think that's just something made up by the press to like get a story like
Yeah.
catch your eye.
Yeah, headliner. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't know if the Majors family is necessarily all that notorious.
No, just
I've never heard of them before, but it is an interesting old story, and I love old stories, and I love Wild West stories.
oh yeah, they were just fucked up. That's what that was.
Yeah.
God.
I don't know. It kind of seems like to me that Abe was like, "Well, fuck it, I'm gonna be just like my dad," and like,
Sounds like he had daddy issues to me.
yeah,
All right. Well, that was it was fast. It was fun and really hectic.
yeah.
Well, to go from fun and fast to interesting.
Let's do it.
All right. You ready for a quick fact, though?
Okay.
On August 14th of 1979, a rainbow lasted over 3 hours was recorded in Wales, UK.
Ooh, pretty.
It's the longest lasting rainbow in history.
Cool.
Also, it's National Creamsicle Day. Creamsicles.
Oh my god, my favorite orange creamsicle is like my favorite flavor of everything.
Oh yeah, I know.
A lot of people fuck it up though.
All right, so you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Just remember, it's a whole bunch of cannibalism.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm going to start out with a little synopsis for you first, okay? After an accident while on the way to San Diego, the 7 members of the Carter family find themselves stranded in the desert. Desperate to get help, 2 men leave the remaining 5 family members unknowingly to the hungry hands of a group of cannibalistic, mutated humans who call the desolate area their home.
Okay.
One of today's cult classic horror films, The Hills Have Eyes, which was that synopsis, is actually derived from the legend of Alexander Sawney Bean and his family of cannibals.
Okay.
Yes, an entire family of cannibals. So you ready to get into this one?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
I like The Hills Have Eyes.
So just real quick before I get started, if you were deciding to eat or like in the process of eating while listening to this, you might want to hold off a minute.
I don't know. I don't have a sensitive stomach, so I think I'll be okay.
So, known as the Scottish King of Cannibalism, Alexander Sawney Bean was born, depending on your sources, as early as the 12th century or as late as the 15th, maybe 16th century.
Okay.
Yeah. Most say he was born in the Scottish Council of East Lothian during the reign of King James VI of Scotland.
Okay.
Now, he had a pretty humble beginning, honestly, like not too bad. His father was a farm laborer, but not much else is known about his family in general.
Okay.
But as he came of age, he joined the family business, digging ditches and trimming hedges, everything to make a buck. But everything changed when he fell in love. Some might say it was a match made in hell.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. Because Black Angus Douglas was such a shady character that many people claimed she was just a witch.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm here for her slay.
Neither of them wanting to do with anything to do with society and its opinions, they decided to elope.
All right.
Now, what would a couple on the outside of social norms do for fun? Any ideas?
Hatchet throwing.
Well, they decided to do, the norm, like robbing, fighting, and killing. Yeah.
Sounds like my kind of people.
This, of course...
I'm just kidding.
This, of course, grew some attention, from the authorities and stuff.
Right. As one does.
Yeah. So, to evade the angry mobs and soldiers coming after them all the time, they had to make a move, off the grid, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But how far off the grid would you have to go, do you think?
I mean, back then, not very far, right?
Well, what would you think if they, we just decided to go off the grid into, just a dark, slimy-ass sea cave?
No, thank you.
Well, they did.
In Scotland? It's fucking cold there.
Yep. The Ben Ann Cave in Ballantrae, Ayrshire. Fun fact, by the way.
Word.
Yeah, it is. It's Scottish. I'm sorry. Fun fact, though, real quick. It's actually a very popular tourist attraction today.
It probably is. I see why.
Yeah. This cave was perfect for Bean and Agnes.
Bean and Agnes. Great names.
Mm-hmm. Would you call her Agnes?
I think well, yes. Bean and Agnes, damn it! Pork and beans!
Well, it was perfect for a couple of reasons. Because the huge rock formation, with its elaborate and complex and deep tunnel systems...
Creepy.
Yeah. Well, at high tide, twice a day, the cave mouth was completely flooded.
Okay.
It hid the entrance to the cave, so it made it perfect, It'd be perfect evil lair, if you want to consider that.
Okay.
Or maybe, what about the start of a family?
Weird.
Mm-hmm. Well...
With Slay.
Yeah. Well, Bean and Agnes just wanted a small family, all of 14 children.
Jesus fuck. Last episode with the 12 kids was bad enough.
Right. You'd think having a family and the need to care for that family would bring you out of a life of crime and, kind of put you on the straight and narrow. Yeah, no, not for these two.
No, of course not.
Nope. Needing to feed these 14 mouths and his wife and himself.
Jesus Christ, imagine how long she was pregnant to have 14
I don't want to
kids
think about
back
it.
to back.
Yeah.
You know how miserable I am when I'm pregnant? You do.
Yeah, I do. Well, Bean decided he was just going to take his crimes to the next level.
Okay.
So his robbery and murder increased a lot.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm. But what about the food?
Yeah.
He's got to feed everybody. Well, they couldn't just go to the market, with stolen goods to sell or trade or anything. Well, Bean had an idea. He's got to hide all these bodies that keep piling up that he's murdering anyway, so...
Right. Where the fuck are you going to put all these dead bodies, damn it?
Well, what better way than to get rid of all these bodies than a good old-fashioned barbecue?
Hell yeah! I'm just kidding.
Somehow, Bean convinced his entire family to start eating his victims.
Mm.
It's a whole new meaning to ankle biters.
It's stew.
Now, this is where things get even crazier, as if they weren't already.
You ever seen that movie Fried Green Tomatoes?
I have.
The barbecue?
Yeah, no. I was thinking Final Destination where the fucking arm falls on the barbecue at the end of the movie. Anyway. So this is where things get even crazier, as if they weren't already.
Yeah. Let's just go right down into Crazy Town.
Mm-hmm. When the kids got old enough and strong enough, they just decided to join dear old dad at work.
Well, yeah. Gotta make Pops proud.
This did make the ambushing of unsuspecting travelers a lot easier.
Well, yeah, there's fucking 14 of them.
Right.
You're surrounded.
After collecting the valuables and clothing and anything else the family wanted,
right,
they would hack the bodies into more manageable pieces.
Yum.
And head home. Though the travelers seemed to just vanish because of the cannibal clan's efficiency, they didn't go unnoticed.
Right.
Investigations and poor judgment calls by most of the town and their law enforcement had some pretty negative effects, though.
Right.
Some sources say that the local inns and taverns would eventually just close up shop and leave for the lack of business in general.
Okay.
Now, granted, this was coming from the suspicion that they were, if not directly responsible, they were at least involved in the growing disappearances.
Okay.
The public started feeling the need to protect themselves, especially while traveling, which comes into play very soon. Now, back at the cave. Apparently, the lifestyle and diet was treating the clan pretty well.
Okay.
So well that they weren't only thriving, but they were multiplying.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Incest?
As products of incest, Bean and Agnes now had 14 children and 32 grandchildren.
Jesus fuck!
Mm-hmm.
Is there room in the cave for all this?
Apparently so. Which, by the way, all these 32 grandchildren also joined in on the family business.
Well, yeah, they're all deformed and shit.
Mm-hmm. Now, with having a small army, basically, at his command, Bean started organizing attacks on larger and larger groups of travelers.
Okay.
I mean, why not? Not just 2 or 3 people at a time. We're talking like up to 10.
Uh-huh.
Now, imagine, if you will, you and the family are on a road trip.
Right.
Completely unfamiliar with the route. You're unaware of the local dangers.
Uh-huh.
You start making your way through this beautiful, hilly, forest-filled landscape, and, it's a pretty sight, but then you start hearing some strange calls coming from the trees,
Oh, God. Ding, 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 ding,
No,
ding,
not that
ding.
kind. And out of the corner of your eye, you start seeing shadows moving.
Oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm. Just as your nerves are starting to get to you a little bit, bam! I had to do it. I got her, guys.
I'm easily scarable. You're just a fucking... Just throwing at an easy target.
Well, just as you get yourself worked up, you're surrounded by a total of 48 people.
Fuck that.
Ranging from small children to probably, at this point, middle-aged adults.
At that point, I'm just going to say, can you just kill me before you fuck me? Like, please?
Now,
or before you start nibbling on me?
Now, they're all wearing very dingy, tattered clothing.
And they're all deformed because they're all products of incest?
Yep. Covered in filth, you know. Some possibly showing the deformities of incest. And each is brandishing some form of weapon, homemade or otherwise.
I mean, we know that what happens from incest because of the royal families. Just want to put that out there for anyone who's not aware of that.
And the fall of the House of Usher, since I like Edgar Allan Poe so much. Now, as they come out with all these homemade weapons and everything, then they start attacking and swarming you and the entire family.
Now,
before you can even think about your next move, everything you have with you and on you is gone. And all of your bodies are now being savagely torn apart.
Ew.
And in some sources, devoured on the spot.
Oh, God. Kill me first.
This was pretty much the case for over 25 years.
Holy shit, man.
While the clan was supposedly active. The Bean family got so good at this, in fact, that they eventually got cocky. Of course.
That's what happens.
You know, of course, there would be remnants of their attacks. You know.
Bones and such.
Some reports saying that small body parts or chunks of human flesh would be found in the rivers with human bites taken out of them.
Ew.
Because of these body parts, there were several innocent convicted and sentenced to death.
Now that's fucked up.
Yep. It's almost as bad as those being accused of witchcraft, and we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
By some accounts, the clan's body count would have been higher than Ridgway, Bundy, Gacy, Dahmer, and the Zodiac Killer all combined.
Wow. So, ranging in the hundreds at least, probably?
At least. Now, Bean's cockiness did eventually catch up to him. Of course, you know.
Well, yeah, it always does.
As the story goes, a man and his wife are on their way home riding horseback from a night out on the town and accidentally wind up riding into the clan's target area. They were all laughs and giggles and stuff, you know, enjoying their night out. And out of the shadows, the Beans attack.
As they do.
Yep. What they weren't prepared for, however, the family, the Bean clan, that's a weird thing to say. This man was actually a very skilled fighter and happened to be armed with a pistol and a sword.
Oh.
Well, unfortunately, during the bloody battle, the woman fell off of her horse and was brutally ripped apart.
Oh.
Right before this man's eyes. Now, obviously, this enraged him, and it fueled his fighting spirit. Thankfully, the noise alerted some 30 nearby villagers.
Oh, 30?
Yeah. They came charging with their own weapons, like pitchforks, to come help the man. Being quickly overwhelmed, the Bean clan retreated, but obviously their cover was blown.
Yeah.
You know, they now know what's going on. Somebody does. Well, completely devastated and fucking distraught about his wife's murder right in front of his eyes, this man goes on a rampage and is seeking revenge. So he travels all the way to Glasgow to request a personal audience with King James.
Okay.
Now, which King James is not exactly clear.
Debated.
Yeah, it's debated because of when it could have taken place. But either way, it's A. King James. After hearing the man's story, the king gathered up a 400-man hunting party
Wow.
and set out to the area in search of the Bean family, himself included. He was like at the front of this.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. With the assistance of hunting dogs, the king and his hunting party found and raided the Benane cave. Obviously, the family was quickly overpowered.
Right.
Now, what was found in the cave is definitely not for the faint of heart.
Okay.
Okay? Aside from the stockpiles of stolen wealth and other goods just lying around, human remains were found drying on meat hooks, in pickled jars, and even cooking over an open fire.
Ooh.
The sight was so disgustingly intense, the beans were immediately hauled out of the cave, taken back to mainland Scotland to be executed publicly without a trial.
Okay.
Yeah. Some members of the family were dismembered or even buried alive as punishment.
Wow.
Ultimately bringing an end to the cannibalistic clan's reign of terror.
Wow.
But did it actually happen?
I don't know. Did it?
Most likely no.
Okay.
Because
So it's a fable?
there's no real evidence to support the legend of the crimes ever happening. The actual recording of this story took, like, the book was written 100 some odd years after this would have occurred.
Okay.
Hence it being the legend of Alexander Sawney Bean. Some brainy folks out there actually say it's kind of like a political slander against the Scottish to portray how awful the people of Scotland are.
Okay. I could see where they're coming from there.
Yeah, of course it's, on the behalf of the English monarchy, so,
Right, yeah.
It's actually why I tried not to use the word Sawney, because I don't know whether it's still relevant or not, but apparently Sawney is a slang term for a Scottish person, and a very, very bad slang term.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in case it's still a thing, I didn't say that.
A lot.
A lot. So, that being said, the legend still has its influences, though, like, even today.
Okay.
Like I said, the cave is still a thing. You can go, there's a big old sign that says this is the cave of the Bean family.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also influenced books and movies, like, obviously, The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
But Off Season by Jack Ketchum. It's a very, very brutal horror novel, but mostly based on the legend here. Some even say that the Wrong Turn series has reflections of the Bean legend.
I could see that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can definitely get behind Wrong Turn more than The Hills Have Eyes.
It kind of reminds me, I think I brought it up in a previous episode, was the American Horror Story episode of how the government has always hidden the fact that there are families like that in our national parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why...
And that's why people go missing in the national parks all the time, is because cannibals are eating them.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with how horrible the terrain is in those national parks.
That was also on an episode of Black Glass, I think. I don't know. It was a Netflix.
Black Mirror?
Black Mirror, that's
Maybe.
it.
I think that was American Horror Story, though.
I'm sure it was, but I think it was also a short episode.
I don't know. I could kind of believe that is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because people really do go missing in the national parks without a trace.
Yeah.
And never to be seen or heard of from again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can kind of believe it.
The reason why I kind of feel like The Wrong Turn is more of a better representation than Hills Have Eyes is because Hills Have Eyes is like nuclear devastation after effects.
Yes.
That's how they're mutated, and they're just kind of monstrous turned people.
Right.
Well, Wrong Turn is actually based around an incest family who turns to cannibalism that lives in the woods
Mm-hmm.
to survive. And they take advantage of lost travelers.
Right.
You know, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that series, they're actually movies, but there's like 3 or 4 of them now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty sure I've at least seen the first one.
Yeah.
Because I know what you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. The most disturbing part of that whole movie for me, despite all the cannibalistic and all the murder and all the horror tropes and shit like that go with movies, was the creepy ass old guy just sitting on his front porch drinking a fucking bottle of Pepto-Bismol. It just gets to me every time.
It also, for some reason, keeps making me think Deliverance, which isn't really about cannibalism, but similar.
Yeah.
Similar kind of story.
I don't know about Deliverance, so.
Oh, it's like... Oh, God, I don't want to misquote because it's been like a lot of years since I've seen it, but it's a similar story but there's rape involved.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was in The Hills Have Eyes as well. So. All right. Well,
it's an older movie from the 70s, and it's a lot more slow paced and like more suspense.
Oh, yeah.
Driven.
I hate suspense movies.
I like some like Alfred Hitchcock suspense movies are really good because they really are scary because they fuck with your mind because they're possible.
Yeah. Like Psycho's a really good American Psycho, I think is what it's called. Is a really, really good representation of that suspense filled that affects you because it could be real.
Alfred Hitchcock did Psycho.
That's it, Psycho. Yeah. My bad.
But Birds is another one that's actually really scary. It's part of why I hate birds. It is really scary. Mm-hmm. Like the birds just turn on the people because they're sick and tired of our shit and start attacking and killing people. Totally possible. I mean, we're seeing it right now with our sea life.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Attacking boats.
Yeah, but to be fair, okay, I don't like how that turned into a whole big thing, but to be fair, the one orca whale that started it all is because she got hit by a boat.
Yeah.
She legit got hit by a boat.
I'm with the orcas on this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Attack all them yachts, baby.
But...
Unless I get a yacht someday. Don't attack mine.
Scientists have actually shown that it didn't just turn into, like, her, like, family segment that was now attacking these boats. They've taught other orcas to do this.
Yeah, orcas are super smart.
Yeah, it's getting pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, if we were going nature attacking humans, that birds would definitely have a better chance of wiping us out than sea life because there's a lot of people that don't go anywhere near the water.
Oh yeah, no.
But there's birds everywhere, man, and by the millions.
Listen, if you start getting me worried about nature, I'm not going to Australia. That whole fucking area just wants to eat you.
I know. So that was your story, which was really good. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. I know you
sick and twisted lately.
Yeah. I know that you like The Hills Have Eyes, and I'm pretty sure that Rob Zombie had a play in like a remake of it or something. Yeah. So, but because I knew you liked those a lot, I figured I would track down an interesting story behind it.
That's an interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the root of that story, really. Yeah,
because turns out that either the writer or the director, I can't remember. No, it had to been the writer. Sorry. Turns out that the writer of the film, The Hills Have Eyes, started out, he made like a decent film, but he wasn't making any money at all. And he's like, I have to find my creative edge and I have to find the money maker. And he loved the Sawney bean thing because after visiting Scotland, I guess, and he's like, that's it. I have to make this. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a cool story. I love any kind of old-timey stuff and anything about like royal family involvement. You know, I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah. it kind of messed with me though. Like, even
Not that I'm not a supporter of royal families. I think they're all trash. Like, I sorry for anybody that might listen to us in England. I'm not a supporter of them. They are oppressors. Like, that's how I feel.
yeah,
I'm Irish and Scottish, so
yeah, me too.
I'm a mutt. I'm American. I know that's what you guys would say.
Yeah. Well, we're just Yanks. It's
Yes.
all good. I don't know. Realistically, like with the research behind it, I was kind of frustrated because I understand it's just the legend of, but if you're gonna make a legend, at least get some fucking detail in there, damn. Because
Right?
like there was this such wide gap in what day he was born, and
Yeah, well, you've
what-
got to also understand, like, when people actually started writing,
Mhm.
putting things into record, and before that, it was word of mouth by storytellers, and those stories were skewed based on
Yeah, but
how they were telling it and who they were telling it to, and so over time, things kind of morphed into something else, and
yeah, but I mean, during the 12th and onward, history was written down. It was recorded actually pretty well.
right, but
Because the Dark
a
Ages
lot
was
of
pretty
common
late.
people did not know how to write. It was mostly monks that wrote for a long time.
Oh yeah, no, you're right on that. It's just that, I mean, written history was still a thing.
Right. No, I know.
So.
I get it. It's just reading and writing hasn't always been accessible to everyone
no.
in every class.
No, definitely not. No. Matter of fact, that job, I don't remember the title of it, forgive me, but there's the person that would read the local paper to the town.
Right.
That was still a job all the way up until like the 50s in America, because people would hire these, factory jobs that were gruelingly boring. They would hire somebody to read stories and shit just randomly.
To pass the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Background noise.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So that was episode 13 then.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, Stewart. We forgot the word of the day.
Yep. Always do.
The word of the day is QWERTY.
QWERTY?
QWERTY. Often not capitalized. A standard English language typewriter or computer keyboard.
Oh, QWERTY. Yes, it's a QWERTY word.
Yes. The legacy of the typewriter persists in the age of the smartphone, as the keyboard for texting remains in a QWERTY configuration.
Mm-hmm. The reason for this...
Did you know?
Uh-oh. Let's see if they say it.
If you look at the topmost rows of letters on a computer keyboard, you'll see where the QWERTY got its name.
Mm-hmm.
Why did Christopher Latham Scholes choose that particular arrangement of letters when he was developing the modern typewriter in the late 1860s and early 1870s? Popular myth holds that the QWERTY maximizes efficiency by placing the most often used letters in the most accessible places. But the truth is that the QWERTY was actually designed to slow typists down.
Yep.
Scholes' first typewriters were cumbersome and jammed easily if the keys were pressed too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So he picked letter positions that let the typist go faster than a pen, but not fast enough to bullocks the machine.
Yeah. Which the irony of it is the fact that now you practice typing, or used to at least, in school.
Yeah.
To the point where you can get 300 words a minute.
Yeah, I used to have like typing games because my mom is a really fast typer and she wanted me to excel at that.
Yeah, I actually had similar games. And I don't know if they even teach it in school anymore, learning how to type. But for those who may not know this, if you put your forefinger on the F and the J of your keyboard, there's a bump. That's because that's where you set your fingers to start.
Right, I knew that.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find us.
All right. Well, you can find us on any podcasting platform under This and That with Me and You. You can find us on all the social media platforms
Except for Twitter.
And we have fallen a little bit behind on our TikToks, but we're getting back on track, guys. I'm sorry.
And we're this and that with me and you on all the social medias.
Yep, and even some that are like harder to find for whatever reason, we have made sure that you can find us under this and that with me and you.
Yes.
And quick side note, because you can find us on YouTube with every picture that might be relevant to our stories.
Are on the YouTube videos.
They're on the video.
We post them to Facebook.
I found out recently, if you are having a hard time finding our YouTube for whatever reason, if you type this and that with me and you as one word, no spaces, no capitalized, no nothing, just all one word, it pops up first thing.
Okay.
Yep. I don't know why.
Maybe because that's our link.
That's true. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
But
and if you want to email us any suggestions or just show us some appreciation or whatever, you can email us at tatwmay1@gmail.com.
Yep, that's tatwmay1@gmail.com.
Also, if you want to, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe or all that other stuff.
Yeah, all the fancy social media stuff.
Leave your reviews, the good ones. If you don't like us, you don't have to announce your exit. It's not an airport. Yeah.
Yeah, because like with YouTube, a like, a share, and a comment gets us pushed out there for more and more audience.
Yes, the algorithms and all that good stuff.
And I know that like Spotify's free, Pandora's free.
And we're on those.
We're on all those. So
yeah,
share it out there with your friends, families, and foes, because we'd like to get us out there a little further.
Yes, and we both also have our own private TikTok accounts.
Yes.
Which we will link into something for you guys to find.
At some point.
At some point where you can follow us and see what we're doing on our day-to-day basis if you're interested. Facebook, however, is just for family and friends for me.
My TikTok is not very active. I don't do anything on my personal TikTok. Not for a long time. So
yeah, I just started making videos again, just playing around.
Yeah. And if you're interested and like that ASMR stuff,
I am looking into doing some ASMR possibly, but I have to get 1,000 followers on my new TikTok because I monetize my original TikTok for the podcast.
Yep. We need to start nudging her because, aside from us really could use some financial support.
Some extra financial help.
Financial help, yeah.
More streams of income.
It would also keep her mind busy because she's a lot like I am, and steady mind is a dangerous one. Too many intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, I need stuff to do, and I really like ASMR, and I follow some really good ASMR artists, and
it bothers the shit out of me. Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't like it that much, but I enjoy it, and I don't know. I've just not gotten to the point where I think I could be live, but I also need to get 1,000 followers first. So.
So if you are listening to us and are a fan of the TikTok that is for the podcast now, make sure you go over and look for her TikTok. It is relevantly connected to it, I think.
Yeah, I think I tag myself in our videos and tag you.
Yeah, so, take a look for her. Go back, and if you were a fan of her TikTok before it became the podcast, go on over, find her new one. Get her back up there so she can start doing what she wants to do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's what we got for this week.
That's all she wrote.
All right.
That was this.
And that.
With me.
And you. Bye.
Bye.